Hello and welcome back. I hope you've done the exercise. Make sure you do that, what we just practiced in the previous video. If not, please go ahead and do that first and then come back to this video. Because in this video now, we are going to take the same logic app that we've just built and we are going to enhance it further. We're going to make it more smart. So in previous video, we saw, we built a logic app where we're just monitoring Twitter every minute. And if someone is talking about our brand, which is CI 101 in this case, we're going to send an email to a customer service so that they can look into that, right? Now we want to enhance that and we want to add some of the smart features available, with Azure with us. So what we want to do is now we want to take the exact same business case. We're going to add some enhancement. We're going to add some additional functionalities where we don't want to just send an email every time we are mentioned. We only want to send an email to customer care if someone is talking negative about us. So if someone is not happy about us, and if they're talking about us on social media, in this case on Twitter, we want the customer care team to be notified, right? So how do we do this? In a plain, simple terms, what we are planning to achieve here is we want to get the text of the tweet and then we want to see if it's positive or negative, right? So for this, we have to use some kind of artificial intelligence, some kind of sentiment analysis of the text itself, right? And if you had to do this outside of Azure, you would have to build an AI engine, which would take the text as an input and give you some kind of rating, whether it's a positive or a negative, right? But fortunately, as I said earlier, Azure has a lot of these things inbuilt. And because they are all part of the same Azure ecosystem, you can access them from Logic App very easily, right? So let's go ahead and let's open our Logic App and let's see what we can do with that. So I'm on the Azure portal right now. I'm opening my Logic App and let's click on Edit. So what we currently have is every 1 minute we are checking if someone is talking about CI 101. And if it happens, then we get the user info, we send an email, right? Now, if this happens, we also want to check the sentiment of the tweet itself, right? In order to determine whether it's a positive or negative. Okay, so now we've received the tweet about this hashtag. We want to pass the text of that tweet to something called cognitive services, which is available in Azure, right? So I'm click on this plus icon, which would allow me to add a new step or a new action within this workflow. Let's click on add an action. And here you have all of the possible available actions. If you click on all, it would show you everything that's available to you. You can see there are plenty of other systems available. But what we are interested in right now is something called text analysis, right? So you can type in text and it would give you all the options available to you. Here we see text analytics, right? And then within text analytics, we have several options, right? So here is the, you can use this to detect the language of the text. You can use this to detect sentiment. That's what we want to use it for right now. So I'm going to click on detect sentiment. And what this service will do is it would use the text, it would analyze it and would return you a score between 0.1 and 0.9. Anything below 0.5 is considered as negative. Anything above 0.5 is considered as positive. So you can use that score and decide what actions you want to do next, right? So here, first of all, we have to create a connection. You create a connection when you use any service for the first time, and then going forward, it would automatically use that connection to connect to that services. So I'll just give it a name of text analytics connection 1. And account key. Okay, so we need the account key and site URL. To get this account key and site URL, we need to create an account with Azure Cognitive Services. So let's go ahead to the home page of Azure. I'll open that in another tab. Let's click on this Cognitive Services. If not, you can simply search here and click on Cognitive Services. Here, the Cognitive Services, create Cognitive Services. And once you create your account, it would give you the API key and the URL to use in the Logic app. Okay, so here you can see there are multiple options available, right? What we are interested in is the Cognitive Services. Let's click on See More, and we should see Text Analytics here. Here you go, Text Analytics, right? So let's select this Text Analytics and let's create the account to use these services from Azure. I'll give it a name of CI 101 Text Analytics. It's a free trial, so it would use the same free credits that you've received as part of your account. Pricing tiers, so there are various tiers. If you're using for enterprise or for based on your usage, you can choose all of these standards, right? So I'm gonna just take the first one, which is free. So it gives you 5,000 transactions for 30 days. That's enough for us to do our hands-on. And let's select the resource group. So if you recollect, we created this resource group in the last exercise. So I'll select the same resource group and we'll click on create. And it would take care of the deployment behind the scenes for you. And once it's ready, it would be available for you to use. So now the deployment is in progress. Let's wait for deployment to complete. So now the deployment is complete, so we can just click on go to resource. So it will take us to the page where we can get all the API keys and everything that we need. Right, so here we've already deployed this text analytics application for us to use. Let's click on the overview. And what we need for us is account key. So we can click on this manage keys. Click here to manage key. And here are the keys that's available to you, right? And here is the URL that we need to use. So let's copy any of this key. We can use either of this key, right? So I'll copy the first key here. Let's paste it here. And then site URL is this endpoint. Let's copy this endpoint and use it here. And that's all we need to do to create this connection. So let's create, and it would create a connection for us to use text analytics in the Logic app, right? So here we need to pass the parameter, the text that we want to analyze, right? So whatever we received from the first action here, right? That's the actual text of the tweet. So we'll pass the tweet text. If you see in the dynamic window here, we can select this content, right? So when a new tweet appears, that's the first action. And this is the output of that action, right? So let's select tweet text. And when we pass this tweet text, it would go to these services. Basically, it would call this text analytics services within Azure, and it would return a value that would tell us whether it's a positive or not, right? So as I said, 0.1 to 0.9. So now here, after this, let's put a condition, right? We want to take the next action based on the condition of the output of this detect analysis action. So in the condition For the condition, you have something called control, right? So when you add the next shape and select this control, and within control, the first option is condition. Let's click on this condition. So here you can define your condition, right? So this is the first value of the condition. So let's select the output of the detect sentiment action. So you can see we have three actions, right? We have ID, score, and body. The score is what we need to use. And as I said, it's between 0 and 1, right? So let's use the score. It's less than 0.5, right? So if it's less than 0.5, we'll do the second call to get the user details, and then we'll send an email, right? So what would happen based on this flow? We'll get the tweet, we'll have the detect sentiment action executed based on the sentiment, right? If it's negative, basically, so if it's less than 0.5, we want to send an email. If it's more than 0.5, that means it's a positive tweet. It's okay, we don't want to take any action, right? So let's click on save. Okay, and let's go back to Twitter and let's tweet about that. I'm taking CI 101 course and it's not really great. I am not enjoying. Please don't do that. Okay, but just for the sake of testing this logic app, I'm posting something negative about CI 101. Let's see what happens now, right? So I'll click on tweet. Let's go ahead and run this action, right? So we know that it's being executed every minute, right? But let's not wait for a minute. Let's just quickly run this trigger and let's see what happens. So here you see it already ran, right? 128. Let's click on that and let's see what happened here. And you can also see we received the email, right? Okay, so what happened is we received the tweet, we checked the sentiment. Now if you click on this shape here, we can see it returned 0.01, right? That's very negative. And we had conditioned that if it's under 0.05, sorry, it's under is 0.5, then we should send an email. So that's what happened here, right? So let me go ahead and delete that tweet. I don't want a negative tweet on my profile. But anyway, I hope you understand how to use these logic apps. Don't worry, we're just getting started. These are the very basic logic apps. And soon in the next section, we'll be looking at some of the other key components of Azure, like service bus and functions. And once we learn about all of these different components, we'll start building some of the production-ready logic apps. So don't worry, this is just a sample, as I said, right? But do make sure that you do the hands-on practice. Follow this video tutorial and make sure you do both of these enhancement and the basic logic apps, right? I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.